everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. This weekend was the last 3 days ever at Jackson's Auto Wreckers. It is now closed forever and the Crusher is coming. So we've been kind of in a frenzy the last 3 days in there just grabbing stuff. I wish I could have another 3 days in there because there's so many more things I would have liked to get, but there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many tools in the box. And hauling us stuff down that mountain that was in there was a whole nother story. Anyway, let's see what we got. I got another Ford gas tank. This one isn't as nice as the first one I got, but you know what? It's not bad. I looked inside it and it's nice and clean inside. There's no junk. It doesn't smell bad. And he wouldn't have kept it, I don't think, if it leaked. So, I mean, this is how it looked when it came out of the car. It didn't look like this from sitting around because it was stored in a school bus, right? So, we're pretty sure that this is good. And we'll make use of this around here. Now, here's something that I was happy to find. They took a lot of engines apart here. Usually I go in a junkyard and the engines are all still in the cars. Any engines that are out are just kind of laying hither and yon. But this place, they took a lot of stuff apart. And they put stuff in. I don't know if he would take engines apart so he could sell these heads, or if he was selling bare blocks to big machine shops. You got to remember, this stuff is all from back in the day when GM had, at least, Chevrolet-wise, they had 3 engines that they put in everything. Ford had basically 3 engines that they put in everything. Chrysler had basically 3 engines that they put in everything. So there would be a great demand from rebuilders and stuff for cores, you know. They'd need crankshafts, they'd need blocks, they'd need heads, they'd need connecting rods. So I kind of wonder if that's what he was doing. He was taking all these things apart and he would sell a skid of 350 Chevy crankshafts. He'd sell a skid of Ford 302 blocks. I'm just guessing, right? But anyway, this is something I've been looking for a while. This is a set of 351 Windsor heads, but they're early ones. These are, oh, sorry. Let me flip it the other way. These are, you can see they're DOOE castings. This casting, 1969 was the first year for the 351. And those heads are C9s. These are DOOE. This head was used, it came out in 1970. It was used until 1974. So what's good about these, they've got the large intake port, but these ones also have the large valves. Our heads that we're using on Project 8 Ball are D5, 1975 heads. And they still have the same big port and same 64cc chamber that this one has, but they use the small 302 size valves. And to give you an idea of the difference, this is the intake valve from our C5 head, or pardon me, our D5 head. See, there's the difference in the intake valve. It doesn't look like much, but believe me, it's a big deal. And there's the difference in the exhaust valve. Look at that. So these are a good thing to have. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I've been looking for a pair. Now I got a pair. And the beauty was, they were already off, just sitting on a shelf. I didn't have to do anything. This is a set of A-pillar trim for a 70 or 71 Duster. They're so brittle. They both broke a little bit coming out, but at least we have them. I just ran out of time in there. There was a couple more of those cars in there I would have loved to get at and try and get another pair of them, but we just ran out of time. Anyway, what are you going to do? This is a cool thing. It's a brake booster from a 68 Ford with disc brakes. It's kind of a 1 year only abomination like everything on those 68 Fords. And you can't get replacement ones anymore, so I don't know if this one works or not. I'm assumed it worked when it pulled off because it's marked 68 Ford and it was stuck in a school bus. So fingers crossed that it's okay. We'll find out one day if we need it. And here's Deb's license plates that she found. The bottom one is 1959, and the top one is a commercial one from came off a big 56 Ford dump truck, and it's June of 1967. They'll look neat hanging up on a wall somewhere. This here is a brake combination valve for a 68 Ford with disc brakes. You can see here, there's the one from a car with drum brakes. You can see it's a little bit different than one with disc. Here we've got, this is for a Valiant with a 3-speed on the manual, 3 on the tree transmission. And I'll tell you what, this is for the A390 fully synchronized one that came later, 74, 75, 76. And when I put one of those in my 71 Valiant, this was like literally the hardest damn thing to find. I finally did find one, but look, now I've got another one. Here we've got stuff for a 39 to 47 Dodge or Fargo truck. Maybe one day you'll find out why we need this stuff. This here is a dome light and the switch. I kind of think I've got this stuff, but you never can be too sure. It's just hanging there, right? And these here, this is the little regulator that opens and closes the windshield. On those trucks, the windshield tilts out and back in. And this was the little regulator. This little T-handle sticks out of the dash, and you open it. This one is really, really rough. But, again, it was just sitting there. And this one I actually pulled out, and it's seized, but it's complete. So hopefully we can get this going. The gears on these things strip out. You can see this one, the gear's missing a bunch of teeth. But we'll see what we can do with that. We've got an air cleaner cup for a Ford tractor. Always looking for those because they rot out. There was a bin full of Ford tractor parts, but all stuff that I've already got. Here we've got some wiring, engine wiring for 68 Ford with a small block, including the hard to find temperature switch for it because it's got 2 lights. It's got a blue cold light and a red hot light. So you need this double switch. 68 Chryslers used something very similar. Oh, look at that. Always looking for these, screwing around, putting the old-fashioned radios in old cars. And more often than not, you'll find an old radio, and they're always missing these, so we got a spare one. There's this is from a Chevette, believe it or not. All I want is the knob. I need a 5-speed knob. More on that later. That goes with that. Here, look at this, cool. An old Mr. Gasket 4-speed shifter. It's all seized up, it's a mess. But it's all in one piece. And it came out of something with a console. You can see the offset in it. So it was for a Mustang or a Camaro, probably. These are oil deflectors for Ford FE engines. 352, 390. Everybody says FE stands for friggin' expensive. But in this yard, FE stood for friggin' everywhere because everywhere you look, there was another FE. Trunks of cars full of parts. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Oh, these dogs, every time he comes out here, look at his ear. I don't know where he even finds the dirt. He gets covered in it. Don't eat that. Okay, we got some more 68 Ford stuff. Oh, if you live in the Rust Belt and you like these cars, you've probably never even seen one of these. This is the big long spring that holds the jack down to the trunk floor in the back. Wow, I'm always looking for these, and this is the only one I've ever found. Here's a couple of armrests. Every 68 Ford guy is always looking for armrests. They're impossible to find. And then this here is a really cool thing you won't see every day. This is a 68 Ford radio delete dash. The radio would be here, the knobs and buttons and everything stick through this. And this is the radio delete. Really cool. I had one once before and I sold it. I should have kept it. Now I've got one. Nugget. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, ready? I got this, just this cute little shifter boot. Might be able to use it for something. This looks like a boot that would go in the firewall, maybe, where the clutch rod goes through, or maybe it was from a clutch fork on something. I don't really know, but I may be able to use it for a clutch rod. This here, wow, so hard to find. This is for a 65 to 68 Ford with a manual transmission. And this is here, it's the base of your steering column goes through there, and that's where the clutch rod goes through, that little boot there. I can't believe I found that. I found that in a trunk of a car. This stuff here is for a cast iron truck bell housing. I have one of these bell housings, but it was missing all this stuff. Now I've got it. What's beauty about this bell housing, it was used from 65 through about 75. If you find a cast iron bell housing from a truck for an FE engine with a C5, the casting number starts with, that's a great bell housing because it bolts to an FE engine, but it's half an inch shallower than a normal FE bell housing, and it allows you to use a 4-speed or a 5-speed, whatever, that's designed for a small block on your FE engine. So say you grab you've got an FE and you want to put a Tremec TKO or something on it, well, they're all set up for small block Fords, right? Well, if you get this cast iron truck bell housing, you can use the small block transmission. It goes right on it. Also, we got some, this is another, I'm pretty sure this is another fork, a truck fork. Looks very similar in length to that one. Pretty sure that's what that is. This is a car fork, small block. That's a small block or a 6-cylinder car fork. I've been looking for one of those. And I found a clutch torque shaft. That would be in the car like that. I'm not sure what body style this is off, but you just can't find clutch linkage of any kind anywhere. So we grabbed that. It was just laying there, man. Now here's a bunch of crap that has a big story. On these FE engines, from the original ones in 1958 until 1967, they used one type of harmonic balancer. And then starting in 68, they changed to the heavy balancer. So this is an example of the original one. It's just a light little balancer with a pulley. That is for your alternator belt, cast right into it. You can see here, look at the rubber is all deteriorated. This is actually the original one off our 410 Mercury engine that we pulled out of the 58 Meteor. So I wasn't sure on that engine what to do, how to replace this, right? But what I found out was, even though the FEs, some of them were internally balanced, some of them were externally balanced, they all used the same neutral balance balancers. Any weights, like on the 410 and the 428, were just added to the flex plate, with the exception of the 428 Super Cobra Jet that had one of these spacers. This is the spacer that goes behind the balancer. So on a 428 Super Cobra Jet, it would have like an extra bob weight on this thing, because it needed weight on the front and the back to make up the difference. Anyway, we don't have that problem. So on our 410, we could just find one of these single groove balancers and put that on and we'd be good. Except we need a power steering pulley for it. So what you get on the thin, we'll call this the thin balancer. If you add power steering, this is the power steering pulley that gets added onto it. Now, this also requires a different power steering pump setup from the later thick balancer ones. We'll cover that in a second. So lucky for me, I found one 66 Ford station wagon, well, it was 65 or 66, that had the early style pump and everything that goes with this setup. So if we want, we can put, because I got a couple of these in there today that had really nice rubber in them still, like this one, we can set it up with the early style stuff. Or you can also swap them up to the thick balancer. The thick balancer was used from 68 until the end of FE production, I think in 77 or 78. And this here is a thick balancer. And it's got a separate, that's the alternator pulley, and that's your power steering pulley. So what you'll find though, is when you put them, you sit them both on the spacer. You sit them both on the spacer. You'll notice that at least your alternator pulley is the same depth from the engine. It's the power steering pulley that's different. See? There's the, I think on that, this space is taken up if you have a car with air conditioning. There's a separate pulley, and the air conditioning belt is in the middle there. So anyway, that's okay. I've got lots of the 68 and up power steering stuff. We are okay there. But I just like now knowing that I've got, whatever I decide to do with these old engines, I've got pulleys for them. These are the water pump pulleys. The water pump pulley also, the depth of them never changed. Although you can see here the 68 water pump pulley became more flat. And I kind of think that's to clear the air conditioning belt. It's just a guess. But I think that's what's going on there. We don't have that worry. None of our cars have air conditioning. Here's a set of FE engine alternator brackets. Always looking for these. A couple of dipsticks and tubes. Again, just found them laying in the trunk of a car. You can't leave that. You just can't leave that stuff there. It's just going to go in the shredder. Here's these pulleys here. These are from trucks. They use different setup again, and it comes in either version. That one's a pressed steel one. This one is a cast iron one. It just depends on the year of the truck. I'm pretty sure that's from a 60s one, and that's from a 70s one. But either will work if you're screwing around with a truck. Now this here is quite interesting. I've been looking for one of these for a while out of a car. I've got a couple of them around here in cars, but I need the cars to still be rolling. So what this is a little gold dog. He's very cute too. Hello, buddy. And he has a pink nose. Anyway, this is what we call a WER axle. And this is found in 67 up Fords, right into the 70s. What this was for where a 7 1/4 or an 8-inch was not really quite enough, but a 9-inch was too much. So all of these 67 and 68 Galaxies and stuff, anything that came with a 289 or a 302 or a 6-cylinder, this was the standard rear end that came in them. And it only came one way. 280 gear, or 275 gear, 275, 280, something like that, and one wheel peel. If you ordered a track lock or an equal lock, instantly you got a 9-inch, regardless of engine. If you ordered any other gear other than that 280, if you ordered a 300 gear or a 325, automatic, you got a 9-inch. But I have a plan for this, and I've got some evil experiments to do on it. I've got a hunch about something, but I'm not sure about it. And this is going to be our guinea pig. And then this here was cool. There was one bin, or a truck box or something, that was full of gas tanks. But there was also a couple of Chrysler engines in it. And as I was walking in there this morning, I went in there and something told me, go in that bin and crawl over the gas tanks and see what's at the front. Because there was a couple of Chrysler engines at the back. There was a couple of 318s. So I went in there, I crawled over all the gas tanks, and I looked down, and what did I see? I saw this 833 overdrive transmission. So I thought to myself, hey, that's an 833 overdrive. But you have to be careful, because you could get this in a Chevy truck of the same vintage, late 70s, early 80s. And the Chevy one is, yeah, it's good for Chevy guys, but it is completely incompatible with the Mopar. It's got a different bolt pattern on the front of it. The input shaft is wrong. You can't use it on a Dodge. But I got looking around in there, and I found the slant 6 bell housing. I found the cross shaft. I found the Chrysler. This is Chrysler, pure Chrysler. This is out of a Dodge truck. And I found this. As soon as I saw that stuff, I knew it was a Dodge one, and I said, let's grab that. And on top of that, I found this bracket in there. And if you'll remember when we put the overdrive transmission in our little red 76 Dodge truck, I couldn't find one of these brackets anywhere. I actually ended up kind of half-assed making one. But, hey, now we've got one. So, that's our last weekend at Jackson's Auto Wreckers. We did okay, I think. We got lots of stuff. I'll have to put all this stuff away tomorrow. Next up at that place, there is the auction coming up in the spring. So what they're going to do is they're going to go around there, and any of the cars up in the yard that they think they can get picked up in one piece, and they'll stay relatively together. They're going to bring them down and put them in the auction. There's already a few cars in a little impound lot that they've got sectioned off there for the auction. Plus, there's 2 or 3 buildings filled with parts and tools and memorabilia and all kinds of stuff. They're going to auction all that off too. It should be a hoot. And then that's it. The rest of it will be left to history, right? What are you going to do? Time marches on. I told you before, you can't save them all as much as we'd like to. You just can't. The stuff in there, it's had its day. Everybody was able to pick it over for a month now. 3 days a week for a month. And I thank those people so much for allowing us to do that, because 99 times out of 100, those old places, they just go in and crush everything. Nobody gets a crack at it, right? I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm also very thankful that it was like an hour from my house, you know. So I was talking to guys in there that came from 4 hours away. That's how the word of this place spread. But anyway, it's all over now but the auction. And I guess the next time we talk about Jackson's Auto Wreckers, it'll be after the auction. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed me showing you all this junk and rambling on about it. It gets me all excited. I'm very happy with the stuff that we got today. I wish I could have got more, but this is what we got. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm thankful for what we were able to get out of there. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'd like to thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Claremont Classic Garage. I hope you'll come back and see us again. And until then, oh, wait! I'd also like to send out a very, very special thank you for Deb, who put up with a lot of stuff these last few weeks. Pulling wagons, handing me tools, helping me, holding the light, all that stuff. I appreciate it, hon. Thank you. And okay, that's it. I'm out of here. See you later. Bye-bye.